So those are my two favorite things that I really love.
Well, London has some amazing restaurants, some amazing small craft breweries. We're a city that geographically is kind of a hub for the region, and so we get this really cool local-owned, local-grown, local-made either food or businesses that are, I think, amazing to experience. I'm glad that you shared that perspective. And with that, I really appreciate your time. One of the things I wanted to share with you, with my mayor hat on, is as you go back to the police service, I always like to say this: please, thank all of the officers and everybody who works on those front lines, and everybody who supports them for their service to our community. I know, when everything is going well, you go about your daily lives. When you need help, they call our emergency services, including the London Police, and you guys are always there to step up and help. So please thank your team for all that they do for our community, and thank you so much for your time today.
I will. I'll do that. Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. This was great.
Yeah, and with that, that's the end of this episode of London Matters. Now, if you've got a suggestion that you might want to share for a future guest, someone you'd like to learn more about, please feel free to share that with me and my team. Really appreciate you listening, and we'll hear you, I guess we won't hear you. We'll see you next time on the show. Thanks.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Join the high-energy, bodyweight-based workouts of the Thunder Twins. Gerald and Harold will get all shapes and sizes up and moving.
You just don't go down as low.
No.
We want you to cross your body, though, and do a slight bend.
Catch the Thunder Mondays at noon.
When I was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, I was deteriorating in front of everybody.
All my life, I lived with sickle cell. I went through a tragic crisis that put me in a coma for 3 weeks. While I was in there, I received a lot of blood to put me in a healthier state.
I was given the plasma then through IVIG. Even though that happened so long ago, it still has a massive impact on me today.
Thanks to donors, I can live another life.
Because of you, I will be seeing my grandchild.
Where will you win?
The opening tip. Here is Prince.
Vicious swing. Canada, the NBA title is yours.
As we welcome a new era, where will you hear the story?
Right to the rim with a slam dunk.
Catch the highlights. Dive into tapes.
It spins.
Where will you be when? Right here. Raptors basketball. Nothing but Sportsnet.
This is a perfectly healthy child. What's unhealthy are birth alerts, a racist practice that may stop this Indigenous mother from going home with her newborn. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
This building behind me, Queen's Park, has been the center of Ontario's government for more than 130 years. Inside these walls, governments have risen and fallen. Elections have been fought and won, and occasionally called earlier than expected. Tonight, as Ontario once again heads into an election called before it was legally required, we look back at the history of Ontario's government, the times premiers have taken a gamble by calling early elections, and what this moment means for the future of the province. Ontario's first election was held in 1867, the same year Canada became a country. The province's first premier, John Sandfield Macdonald, led a coalition of conservatives and moderate liberals governing at a time before formal political parties dominated the landscape. But even in those early years, elections were fiercely contested, and the decision of when to go to the polls has always been a matter of political strategy. By the late 19th and early 20th century, Ontario's elections had settled into a familiar rhythm. Governments typically serve full terms before going back to the people for a fresh mandate. But as political parties became more organized, leaders began to realize that the timing of an election could be a powerful tool, one that could secure power for years or bring it to a sudden end. One of the first Ontario premiers to successfully use early elections as a political strategy was Mitchell Hepburn. Elected in 1934, Hepburn led the Liberals to a commanding victory during the depths of the Great Depression. 3 years later, he decided to call an early election. Why? Because his party was riding high in the polls, and the opposition was in complete disarray. It was a calculated move, and it worked. He won another majority. But not every early election is called for the same reason. In 1967, John Robarts, the progressive conservative premier, called an election a year early, not to gain a bigger majority, but to secure his legacy before retirement. His government had introduced major education reforms and infrastructure projects, and he wanted to go out on a high note. The result? Another PC majority. Sometimes, though, an early election can backfire. Perhaps the most famous case in Ontario's history was in 1990, when Premier David Peterson made what turned out to be a fatal miscalculation. Peterson had led the Ontario Liberals to a landslide victory in 1987, forming a majority government after working with the NDP in a confidence and supply agreement. But in 1990, just 3 years into his mandate, he saw an opportunity. The polls showed his party was still popular and an election wasn't required for another year. So he rolled the dice. He called an early election, confident Ontarians would give him another term. Instead, voters punished him for what they saw as political opportunism. The Liberals lost badly, and in a stunning upset, Bob Rae's NDP took power. The 1990 election reshaped Ontario's political landscape. The NDP, which had never formed a government in the province, suddenly found itself in charge during a global recession. Meanwhile, Peterson was forced to watch from the sidelines as his gamble cost him everything. The next decade saw even more political upheaval. After the NDP struggled with Ontario's economic downturn, voters turned to the Progressive Conservatives and Mike Harris in 1995. His government, focused on tax cuts and spending reductions, faced heated opposition but managed to win re-election in 1999. Unlike some of his predecessors, Harris waited the full 4 years before calling his second election. And that's the difference. Sometimes early elections work, and sometimes they don't. It all depends on timing, public sentiment, and the issues of the day. And that brings us to today. Doug Ford has now joined the ranks of premiers who have decided not to wait until the legally required date. His government is facing economic uncertainty with proposed U.S. tariffs threatening Ontario's manufacturing sector. By calling an early election, Ford is seeking a fresh mandate to tackle these challenges head-on. But will voters reward him for taking action, or will they see it as an unnecessary gamble? All of these political decisions, successful or not, have played out here at Queen's Park. This building has been the heart of Ontario's government since 1893, standing as a symbol of democracy in action. It has witnessed political triumphs and devastating defeats. It has seen majority governments and minority coalitions, economic booms and recessions, stability and upheaval. And tonight, it witnesses another chapter in Ontario's democratic story. As Ontarians cast their votes, they aren't just deciding who will lead the province for the next 4 years. They are shaping Ontario's future, just as generations of voters have done before them. Will Premier Ford's decision to call an early election prove to be a masterstroke or a mistake? That's up to the voters to decide. For now, back to you in the studio.
Good evening and welcome to the local results on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Jess Brady, and we're glad to have you with us as we wait to find out which party will form the next provincial government of Ontario, not to mention who your member of provincial parliament will be. Voters spent the last 12 hours casting their ballots in 124 ridings. Tonight, we'll be keeping a close eye on 6 of those electoral districts in London and in Southern Ontario. Those are, of course, London North Centre, London West, London Fanshawe, Elgin Middlesex London, Lambton Kent Middlesex, and Oxford. Will incumbents hold on to their seats, or will some new faces claim those spots at Queen's Park? It won't be long until we find out, as the polls are now closed and the ballot counting has begun. Over the next roughly hour and a half, we'll bring you the latest results as they roll in, and also check in with our reporters in the field who are stationed at a number of campaign headquarters. We'll also share some information about each of our 6 local ridings and let you know who's vying to be the MPP in each. It's an exciting night, capping off a rare winter election, something we haven't seen in Ontario since 1883. Voters in many parts of the province braved snow and slushy roads and sidewalks to get to their polling stations today. I was one of them. So will this snap election in the dead of winter impact voter turnout? Time will tell. One thing is for sure, though, we appreciate you tuning in, whether you're watching us on Rogers Cable 13, through our website, or on YouTube. It's great to have you with us. So get cozy, grab a snack and a beverage of your choice, and stay with us as we bring you the latest local results. Let's start by getting you acquainted with our local ridings. First up, let's learn a little bit more about London West.
London West has been an NDP stronghold for over 10 years. Bordering the London North Centre district along Wonderland Road North and the Thames River, it includes the communities of Wortley Village, Byron, Oakridge, Westmount, and more. Since first elected in 2013, NDP candidate Peggy Sattler has stayed MPP for the area of almost 140,000 people. In the last election in 2022, Sattler received about 45% of the vote, while PC candidate Paul Pallado came runner-up with just under 34%. As the Liberals look to claw back seats in this election, the NDP may have a tougher time, as the threat of a major vote split could lead to a progressive Conservative victory for Beth Allison and flip the area blue for the first time since the 1990s. For the local results, this is Will Bruce.
Thanks very much to Will Bruce for that profile. Now let's take another quick look at the candidates in London West. We have the incumbent, Peggy Sattler, running for the New Democrats. Up next, Beth Allison, who is vying for this seat for the Progressive Conservatives. Bakar Khan is running for the Liberals. Jim Johnston is running for the Greens. The New Blue Party is represented by Shane Dale. Next, we have Ken Bima, who is running for the Libertarians. Tim Hodges is running for the Freedom Party, and Timothy Hammer is running as an independent. Thanks again to Will Bruce for bringing us that profile. Next up, let's take a look at the folks running in London North Centre.
Physically speaking, London's smallest riding is London North Centre. East to west, it runs from Wonderland Road to Highbury Avenue, and from the northernmost edge of the city, south to the Thames and the CN Railway near Bridges Street. It includes London's downtown core, as well as the Old North, Masonville, and Western University. It's only 60 kilometers squared, but holds over 130,000 people. A long-time Liberal seat since 2003, it flipped to NDP when incumbent Terence Kernaghan won in the 2018 election. As part of the official opposition, Kernaghan was most recently the critic for economic development, job creation, and trade, and also sat on the Standing Committee for Finance and Economic Affairs. Kernaghan is the NDP candidate once again and is being challenged by Progressive Conservative and London City Councillor Jerry Pribble, Liberal Tariq Khan, and the Green Party's Carol Dick. For the local results, I'm Jack Sutton.
Big thanks to Jack Sutton for that profile. So let's take another quick look at the candidates running in London North Centre. We have incumbent Terence Kernaghan running for the New Democrats. Jerry Pribble is running for the Progressive Conservatives. Tariq Khan is representing the Liberals. Carol Dick is running for the Green Party, and Chris Weil is running for the New Blue Party. And we have Paul McKeever running for the Freedom Party. And Paul, as a side note, is the party leader for the Freedom Party here in Ontario. Next up, we are going to Terence Kernaghan's headquarters, actually, for a little bit of a check-in to see how things are going there.
We're here in London North Centre at NDP incumbent Terence Kernaghan's campaign headquarters. Kernaghan was first elected in the 2018 election, flipping the riding from Liberal after longtime Liberal MPP Deb Matthews retired. Now, latest polls from 338 has this race as a toss-up, with about a 57% chance for Kernaghan and a 43% chance for the Conservatives' Jerry Pribble. Now, this isn't the first time they've faced off. In the last election, Kernaghan came out ahead of Pribble by about 9%. So it's looking to be quite the rematch. We'll be here all night, keeping an eye on the results and the overall mood here at Kernaghan's HQ. I'm Jack Sutton. Now back to the studio.
Thanks very much to Jack for that. Next up, we are going to learn a little bit more about the riding of London Fanshawe.
The City of London's largest riding, London Fanshawe, comprises the vast majority of the East End, all the way past Veterans Memorial Parkway and the airport, as well as most of the city's South End down to the 401 and Exeter Road, with the exception of London's Old South neighbourhood, which is not a part of this riding. It's 118 kilometres squared with about 127,000 people. It's been an NDP stronghold since 2011, when incumbent MPP Teresa Armstrong was first elected. As a member of the official opposition, she was most recently the critic for childcare and the critic for pensions. Armstrong is running again in this election, and she's facing the PC's Pete Vanderley, the Liberals' Kevin May, and the Greens' Will Osborne-Sorrell. For the local results, I'm Jack Sutton.
Thanks again to Jack. So let's take another looky-loo at who our candidates are in London Fanshawe. We have Teresa Armstrong, our incumbent, running for the New Democrats. Pete Vanderley running for the Progressive Conservatives. Kevin May is trying his hand as the candidate for the Liberals. Will Osborne-Sorrell is running for the Greens. Christopher West is running for the New Blue Party. Dave Durnan running for the Freedom Party, and Alan John MacDonald is running as an independent. Those, again, are your candidates in London Fanshawe. Next up, let's take a little trip over to Elgin, Middlesex, London.
The Elgin Middlesex London riding covers over 3,500 square kilometers of land. It spans from South London over the rest of Elgin County along the coast of Lake Erie and includes the towns of Aylmer, Dutton, Port Stanley, and the city of St. Thomas. Voting for the Progressive Conservatives since 2011, the mostly rural riding consists of over 125,000 people spread out over the large area, and incumbent Rob Flack looks to continue his tenure as MPP. Receiving over 50% of the vote in the last election, and with Conservatives looking steady in the polls, it is looking likely that Flack will receive another term. For the local results, this is Will Bruce.
Thank you so much to Will Bruce. So in Elgin, Middlesex, London, we have Rob Flack running for the Progressive Conservatives. And looking, of course, Rob Flack is the incumbent in that ward, looking like he is the projected winner in that riding. I don't think that's much of a surprise to many people. So again, Rob Flack, incumbent for the Progressive Conservatives, projected to be the winner there with 13,509 votes and 25 of 71 polling stations reporting. Doug McTavish is running for the Liberals, having about 5,226 votes recorded so far. Amanda Stark running for the Greens, 1,486. Brian Figueiredo running for the New Blue Party. Amanda Zavitz, of course, was the NDP candidate who resigned from her position. Cooper Labrie running for the Ontario Party, and Stephen Campbell running for none of the above Direct Democracy Party. It's a bit of a mouthful. Sorry, Stephen. Thank you so much for that. Next up, we are going to check out the folks in Oxford County.
The riding of Oxford is home to about 130,000 people across 8 municipalities. Highway 401 runs east-west through the center of Oxford, spanning 25 kilometers between the Toyota Auto Assembly Plant in Woodstock and the Camey General Motors Plant in Ingersoll. Ernie Hardeman was first elected MPP for Oxford in 1995. He represents the Progressive Conservative Party and is aiming for a 9th consecutive term. 6 candidates will oppose Hardeman on election night. Bernia Martin is currently serving her first term as a Woodstock City Councillor, an Oxford County Councillor, and is representing the Liberal Party. Khadija Halira is an Ingersoll Town Councillor who is looking to become the next MPP and is representing the NDPs. Colton Kaufman, now working in the tech and gaming industry, is running for the Green Party. For the local results, this is Ainsley Krinslocker.
Big thanks to Ainsley Krinslocker for that profile. So in Oxford County, perhaps again, not surprisingly, we have Ernie Hardeman, the incumbent running for the PCs. He is the projected winner at this point. 13,462 votes recorded, 24 of 64 polling stations reporting at this point. Bernia Martin running for the Liberals, 5,400 votes roughly. Khadija Halaru running for the New Democrats, 2,700 votes, almost 2,800 I should say. Colton Kaufman running for the Greens. Peter Beamer is running for the New Blue Party. Grace Harper is running for the Ontario Party, and Henrik Shemshishin is running for the Libertarians with 147 votes. Now we are going to go live into Oxford, that riding, for a scene setter clip from our fantastic reporter Ainsley Krinslocker, and she's with Ernie Hardeman's group.
We are here at the Woodstock Legion. With me is a dedicated group of supporters for Ernie Hardeman in the Conservative Party. Ernie has represented Oxford since 1995 and has held various cabinet positions throughout his career. Currently, Conservatives are leading the polls. We'll keep you updated throughout the night. I'm Ainsley Krinslocker. Back to the desk.
Thanks so much, Ainsley. Now we are going to visit our friends in Lambton, Kent, Middlesex. This is a riding spanning about 5,708 square kilometers, has a population of a little more than 111,000 residents. It spans from Lucan in the north to Waldisburg in the southwest, Forest in the west, and Glencoe in the east. Strathroy is near its heart. A riding since 1999, the district has been held by the Progressive Conservatives for all but roughly 8 years, when Maria Van Bommel of the Liberals represented the region from 2003 to 2011. Steve Pinsonneau currently holds the seat. He successfully ran in a by-election in May of 2024 to replace longtime MPP Monty McNaughton, winning 58% of the vote. We're going to hear that name, Steve Pinsonneau, again very shortly. Let's check out the candidates who are running in the riding. So Steve Pinsonneau, the incumbent for the PCs, the projected winner in Lambton, Kent, Middlesex, already recording 19,610 votes with 45 of 82 polling stations reporting, I should say. Kathy Burkhart Jessen, very well-known name in politics in this region, running for the Liberals in second at 9,342 votes. Catherine Shaler is running for the New Democrats, 4,500 votes there. Andy Fisher running for the New Blues, and Andriana Tilgner is running for the Greens. She has recorded about 1,322 votes at this time. So we are going to stay with you through the rest of the evening. As votes come in, as results come in, we will bring you those live. As soon as we have them, we will share them with you. So we are once again here with you until about 10:30 this evening, or until the winners are called. And so we will bring you those results. Like I said, we'll scroll through them so you can see them pretty much in real time. We'll keep you apprised of any of those key races. I feel like a little bit like I'm on CNN with those key race alerts that are coming in. I'm going to start using words like tranche any moment now as we get word about different polling stations that are reporting their results. This has been certainly a very interesting campaign, as Tim Phillip talked about in his fantastic package off the top of our program this evening. You know, it's been a snap election. It's a bit rare to see these things kind of play out like this. Talked about the last time that, you know, we had one of these snap elections, or one of the biggest that come to memory, with former Premier David Peterson, who of course is a Londoner, and how that did not turn out the way that Mr. Peterson expected. And he actually was a little bit vocal in the media over the last month or so of this campaign, talking about that experience and maybe sharing some insight into maybe how that feels as things roll on. And we know that to claim a majority win this evening in this election, the parties need to secure at least 63 seats. And so in the last election in June of 2022, when of course the Progressive Conservatives did clinch that victory, they had a resounding win with 79 seats. And so that, to me, is probably the marker that Doug Ford would like to see return to, at least for his party. You know, as in the coverage that we've talked about in that package by Tim Phillip, talking about wanting to shore up the position of the party, saying that he wanted a strong mandate as we head into potentially trade and tariff issues with the United States. And so one has to wonder what happens if the Progressive Conservatives don't meet that mark of the 79 seats? What if they fall below majority territory? What if somehow one of the other parties sneaks up and squeaks out a win? David Peterson certainly knows how that feels, and so it will be interesting. We'll see. The polling obviously has shown quite a lot of support for the Progressive Conservatives moving into this evening, but as any political analyst will tell you, any political member of, a staff member, if you will, or politician themselves, the most important poll is actually on election day, and anything could happen at that point. So we will absolutely bring you the latest results as they come in. We're going to take a look at some of the latest results actually that are coming in now, popping up on the screen. Our fantastic crew here at Rogers doing a great job getting us all the latest details. London Fanshawe looking like incumbent Teresa Armstrong for the New Democrats is the projected winner there. London North Centre, Terence Kernaghan bringing in about 14,000 votes, and he is of course the incumbent New Democrat candidate there, looking like he may be the projected winner as well. Jerry Pribble running for the PCs has brought in about 9,700 votes. This was one of those hotly contested ridings where people wondered what might happen there, but Terence Kernaghan looking like he is in the lead at this point, pretty solid lead. 39 of 81 polls reporting there. Paul McKeever for the Freedom Party, the party leader for Ontario, the Freedom Party, also there as well. London West, Peggy Sattler, 21,708 votes, 46 of 65 polling stations recorded there. Beth Allison coming in at 15,000, so about 6,000 votes behind Peggy at this point. Bakar Khan for the Liberals, 4,697. Jim Johnston for the Green Party sitting at 807, Shane Dale for the New Blues sitting at 534. Party results so far along the bottom of the screen there, the Progressive Conservatives sitting at 76 seats. New Democrats sitting at 24. They were at 31 heading into this election. The Liberals projected already at 14 seats, which is a strong improvement from their 8 seats that they had in the 2022 election. The Greens projected at 2 right now. That's an increase of 1. Mike Schreiner, their party leader up until this point, was the sole member of provincial parliament for the Greens, and so they've doubled their seat share potentially by the looks of this. Again, these are just projections at this point, and one independent has been projected to be elected, which is quite interesting. In Oxford, of course, as we mentioned, Ernie Hardeman projected a winner there for the Progressive Conservatives, long-time member of provincial parliament in Oxford, coming in with a hearty lead at 16,844 votes, 31 of 64 polls reporting in Oxford at this point. Bernia Martin for the Liberals in second at 6,612 votes. So these are some really interesting early numbers that are coming in. Not a lot of surprises in some of these ridings locally, because as we know, urban London has been a stronghold for the New Democrats for quite some time now, and so that's not surprising. Also in the outside ridings in the counties, Elgin, Middlesex, London, Rob Flack again projected to be the winner in that riding for the PCs. Very, very healthy lead, 24,954 votes there, and they have 43 of 71 polling stations reporting at this point. Lambton, Kent, Middlesex, as we mentioned, Steve Pinsonneau is the projected winner there. Not surprising. He was the incumbent. He's running for the PCs. 22,646 votes so far. Kathy Burkhart-Jessen running for the Liberals. Again, I mentioned Kathy Burkhart-Jessen, very well-known name in politics in this region, and so she's sitting in second right now with 11,174 votes. You can see down the bottom of the screen there our party results. The PCs have picked up another seat projected at 77. New Democrats still at 24, Liberals 14, Green 2, and an independent sitting at 1. Teresa Armstrong also projected to claim her seat again, or to retain her seat, I should say, in London Fanshawe, sitting at just shy of 13,000 votes with 28 of 45 stations reporting at this point. Pete Vanderlee for the PCs sitting in second with 10,301 votes. Kevin May, third, 3,733. For the Greens, Will Osborne-Sorrell at 823. And Christopher West with 519 votes for the New Blue Party. Dave Durnan for the Freedom Party, 297. And independent Alan John McDonald in last. Next up, We have London North Centre. Again, we've got Terence Kernaghan, the projected winner there, incumbent for the New Democrats, 15,898 seats. We are going to take a little bit of a break. That gives you a chance to have a break too. Grab a coffee, a nice beverage of some kind, a snack, run to the washroom, whatever you need to do. We will keep our results scrolling on screen, a little bit of mood music for your election night, and we will be back with you as soon as there are some new details to report. Thank you so much for joining us on the local results here on Rogers TV. We will be back with you shortly. Welcome back to the local results here on Rogers TV. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jess Brady. I am your host this evening, and it has been a very interesting election night in Ontario. We have had some very early results and projections of winners for our area ridings, all 6 of them, in fact. So that's very interesting, though. It just means we get to talk to you a little bit more about interesting things that are happening here, throw to some victory speeches, which includes the one we're going to now in London West with Peggy Sattler of the New Democrats.
Thank you to the people of London West for putting their trust in me for the 5th time. And I want to tell you, it is always humbling to win an election, but it gets more humbling every time you win because you actually know the responsibility that is being placed on you. And I want to tell you, I take that responsibility and the trust that has been put in me as seriously today as I did in 2013. And I am committed to working as hard as I can for the people of London West to make their lives better. Continue to represent Londoners with compassion and integrity, with fairness and effectiveness to bring their voices to Queen's Park, which is what MPPs are supposed to do. And whether you voted for me or not, I want to say to all the people of London West, thank you for participating in the democratic process. Thank you to the other candidates who stepped up to put their names on the ballot, because it is not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of time away from your families, but our democracy depends on candidates and voters. So thank you to the other candidates here. I don't want to forget to say some of the things that I had planned to say, but I want to thank my absolutely amazing campaign team. I think this is my 4th election with Brad, my 3rd election with Leah, and they did an amazing job as co-managing my campaign. I want to recognize Megan and Amanda and Ian and Stephen. my MPP staff, many of whom were also on my campaign team. Brad and Leah and Amanda and Megan. As an MPP since 2013, I can tell you a lot of people have contacted me over those years. And I can't tell you how many doors I knocked on in this campaign where someone told me they were voting for me because they had reached out to my office and they had got the help that they need. And that means the world to me for my incredible staff. The volunteers who dealt with some very challenging and often risky conditions with icy, snow-covered sidewalks and bitter cold. It was an experience, I think, for all of us to work in this winter campaign, but it was really wonderful and exciting to see so many first-time volunteers and first-time voters who were volunteering. I'm looking at you, but I hope that you'll take this forward with you and keep up the tradition of voting NDP. I know I cast my first ballot for the NDP in 2018, or no, not 2018. When I was 18, and I have never stopped voting NDP all that time. And let me tell you, if you made it through a February campaign, you are going to love a spring election. And lastly, I want to thank my husband, Neil. Who has been with me on my political journey as a school board trustee and MPP and has given me unconditional support and sometimes some good political advice. So thank you, Neil.
And that was live from Peggy Sattler's headquarters this evening on election night in London West. Peggy, of course, is our winner in London West, projected with that 24,678 votes. 56 of 65 polling stations are reporting right now. That is an enthusiastic crowd. I will tell you, I have my my earpiece so I can hear all of these great video montages that we have going on. Big congratulations and thank you to our amazing crew here at Rogers for bringing all of these packages to us and keeping us in the loop about what's happening in the community. But I will say, very loud cheering happening at Peggy Sattler's headquarters right now, and I guess official victory party, if you will. So congratulations to Peggy. As she mentioned, this is her 5th election now that she's won, which is it's quite the feat in London West. So congratulations to Peggy. You know, in her victory speech to her supporters there, many of whom, you know, volunteered on her campaign. She talked about the importance of bringing the voices of constituents to Queen's Park, saying that really that's what MPPs are supposed to do. She also, you know, thanked everybody who voted for participating in the democratic process. She said, even if you didn't vote for me, you know, I will be representing you and thank you for taking part in this. As I think we can all, you know, agree, this is a very important part of our society, the democratic process. It's important to take these opportunities to make your voice heard. And so Peggy taking a moment to reiterate that and thanking folks for not only voting, but also to her fellow candidates who took the time and effort to put themselves out there to campaign and to, you know, be an option for voters. As she said, this is not an easy process. You take yourself away from your family, your friends, other interests, perhaps even your work. And so it's a big commitment to run for office. So she congratulated her fellow candidates, said thank you to them for participating as well. She had a couple of lighthearted moments talking about the difficulty of campaigning in the winter, thanking her volunteers for pushing rebar into snowbanks. And as we were speaking about before, it is unusual to have a winter election, very unusual. Again, this was the first in Ontario since 1883. So you can imagine how little people enjoy going out to vote and campaign in this kind of weather, especially since it's been a particularly difficult winter in the London region. Lots of snow, lots of ice, icky conditions. So big kudos to everybody who's been out campaigning or volunteering. Well done. She also talked about first-time voters who not only were out there casting their ballot, but volunteering for her campaign, and saying thank you to them, and noting that, you know, they are now part of this tradition of the democratic process. And she noted that she first cast a ballot for the NDP when she was 18 years old, inadvertently saying 2018 first, and that was quickly corrected. So again, big congratulations to Peggy Sattler in London West, the incumbent for the New Democrats. She is the winner projected in London West. So she's just wrapped up speaking to her supporters there. It's been a very busy night around the province. As I mentioned, we have 124 ridings in the province, and they are, you know, working their way through, reporting in on what their results are. It's been very busy. Right now, according to Global News and their stats, we have 119 of 124 seats reported at this point. The Progressive Conservative Party, of course, is now the projected winner. They're sitting at, let me refresh here, and we have it on the screen, 77 seats projected. NDP at 25, the Liberals at 14, and the Greens at 2 seats. The Greens doubling their seat count. Before it was just leader Mike Schreiner who was representing Guelph. Now they have claimed another seat, and there is one independent that is projected to win as well. So the old, or I shouldn't say old, but in the last session of Parliament, the last government, which was a Progressive Conservative majority, the PCs claimed 79 seats. So will they hit that mark again? It's certainly looking quite likely. For Doug Ford, party leader, is projected to win his seat in Etobicoke North. There we go. He is projected to win, as we said, the incumbent, of course, 13,237 votes there in his riding of Etobicoke North, 31 of 34 polling locations reporting. We are also hearing that Marit Stiles of the NDP is projected to win in her riding of Davenport, and Mike Schreiner, of course, the Green Party leader, expected to win in his riding of Guelph. As for the Liberal leader, Bonnie Crombie, things are not looking as certain. She is currently in second position in her riding of Mississauga East Cooksville, and so she is trailing the Progressive Conservative candidate there. And so we will keep a close eye on that, as will our colleagues across the province who are following election night. Just excitement and the results as they come in. So again, multiple news outlets now are projecting a Progressive Conservative majority government after this election. Some interesting facts from the Toronto Star and their reporting that, or rather I should say, I believe it's CBC, my apologies, that Premier Doug Ford and his Progressive Conservatives, their third straight majority government that they will have clinched, if you will. And it's the first time since 1959 in Ontario that a party leader has won 3 consecutive majorities. Again, that's according to CBC News' reporting. So very interesting as this is playing out. Earlier in the evening, I was talking about, you know, would the Progressive Conservatives hit that mark, that 79? What happens if they do hit it exactly at 79? And this basically becomes a little bit of a wash for the Progressive Conservatives because they've hit the same number that they were at on January 28th as they were now on, February the 27th. So was it worthwhile? Certainly the opposition parties have made some changes. NDP being projected as the official opposition moving forward. And the Liberals, they've gained some seats. You know, they're up to, I think, about 13, if I'm not mistaken, the last time I saw their totals. NDP sitting at about 24, unless that's been updated since I last saw. So there's been some movement in the opposition, but at this point, looking very close to where the Progressive Conservatives were at the beginning of all of this. And, you know, political watchers and critics will note that the cost of this election is projected to be about $189 million. That's a significant sum. So there will be lots of discussion in the days and weeks and months to come, depending on what the final numbers are and the number of seats, how strong this majority winds up being. It's very strong right now, but will it meet that mark of 79 seats? or will it surpass it? So that's yet to be seen, but there will be lots to discuss by political watchers, as I said, in the coming days and weeks and months. We are going to take a quick break, and we will be back in a little while with some more reporting from the community. But let's take a moment to review some of the results as they come in. We will be right back with you shortly on the local results on Rogers TV.
There is a place that I want to go to, a time I just want to be with you. We crossed the ocean till we found it, an island wrapped in silk and silver. You tell me over and over again, this love will shine on eternity. I feel it's taking me over and it never ends. There is a place that I want to go to, so many things I want to show you. The stars blazing in the night sky, like we do, shining in the water. You tell me over and over again, this love will shine on eternity. I feel it's taking me over and it never ends. You tell me over and over again, this love will shine on eternity. I feel it's taking me over and it never ends. You tell me over and over again, this love will shine on eternity. I feel it's taking me over and it never ends.
Welcome back to the local results on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Jess Brady. We're covering our main 6 area ridings this evening on election night, and we are jumping right back into the action, going to Elgin, Middlesex, London to check in on the victory of incumbent PC candidate Rob Flack.
You never take anything for granted. You work hard. We always run like we're 5 or 10 points behind, and we gave it our all, and we got it done.
Last time, Associate Minister of Housing, you get the Minister of Agriculture. I'm sure you'd love to be back in the cabinet again of this majority government, right?
That's always up to the prerogative of the Premier. I'm happy to serve wherever, but again, I will always serve Elgin, Middlesex, London first and foremost.
And then you talked about the strong mandate. I mean, a lot of people question this election. Tell me about why you guys felt like you needed to run here, and I know within 2 years, and what it looks like it paid off for the Conservatives for sure.
Well, I can tell you with all sincerity, we have an existential threat with Donald Trump. He is attacking our province and our country. We need a strong mandate, stable majority government to make sure that in the next 4 years we mirror image his administration, and we will continue to represent and fight and protect Ontario. It really is about protecting our province, and we'll get that done.
Obviously, the threats of the tariffs that will be set to come in next week will be huge for the agriculture sector. That was the portfolio you served. How do you plan to
$45 billion a year between the U.S. and Ontario, not Canada, Ontario. It's pretty much equal. A little bit of a trade deficit in Ontario. So why these tariffs, coming in from Donald Trump makes no sense, because it's just going to cause food inflation for both Americans and Canadians and Ontarians. So we're going to fight back. Hopefully common sense will prevail in the coming weeks. I'm used to being in Washington. I've walked those halls before in my private sector life, and we're going to fight hard to make sure that they don't come in.
What have you heard from the farmers while you were canvassing and door knocking through this campaign?
Well, there's a real threat there. Think of the greenhouse growers in this province. 200 trucks a day go across to the U.S. every day. 85% of everything they produce goes to the U.S. Now, we bring as much in, but it's a real threat. And it just does not make sense. If it made sense for the Americans, I get it, but it just doesn't. So we're going to fight and fight hard.
Well, here in St. Thomas, of course, we got the automotive plant coming in. What are we looking at doing as far as that's concerned? Because that's a lot of jobs, a lot of money at stake.
It's going to be 3,000 jobs, 30,000 tertiary jobs throughout the province. The key part is that we're going to continue to support Volkswagen PowerCo to make sure that that project goes ahead. It's going to get done, and most importantly, we're going to support it, and Canada's going to support it.
Do you have any concerns or any risk that won't happen?
I do not at this time at all. None.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Of the 14,000 doors you knocked down, were the sentiments different than 2022? How were they different?
Yeah, they were different. Similar, but I would say the biggest difference, three things. Number one, the threat from Trump was loud and clear at the door. The need for health care, primary care, was loud at the door. And we have a solution, we have a plan, we have a policy to improve primary care in Ontario. And the third one, I would say, the biggest fear would be, or opportunity would be infrastructure. People see schools, hospitals, roads. The infrastructure we need to invest in this province across Ontario it's hundreds of billions of dollars. So there's logical concerns, but it's the local concerns would be making sure that we continue to keep our economy going. Jobs and good paying jobs are what it's all about.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay.
Can I just get a photo of
That was live from Rob Flack's victory party and campaign headquarters in Elgin, Middlesex, London, answering some questions from area reporters about what comes next and what some of the biggest issues were that Rob Flack and his team heard at the doors as they were campaigning. Talked a lot about the issue with United States and President Trump and his tariff threats and the need for, as Rob Flack put it, hopefully common sense will prevail. He noted that, the threat of Trump it's a real existential threat. And so he talked about how the Progressive Conservatives wanted that strong mandate to move forward and face those threats head on from the United States. And so he said, they'll be working hard to, work with Washington, their counterparts there, to try and find a solution and a way forward. Talked a little bit about, what the stakes are for his riding, especially in Elgin, Middlesex, London, and the amount of industrial work that's there. That's not lost on anyone in this region. These tariffs, if they do come to fruition and are imposed, will have a huge impact on southwestern Ontario and, of course, the rest of Canada. But certainly, we are a manufacturing powerhouse in the country. We are going to take a quick little break. We'll show you some more results scrolling through from the region, and then we'll be back with more on the local results on Rogers TV.
this fades away. Nothing will stand between us. We got love and that's enough to last for the ages. We got love and that's enough. A love story for the pages. We got love and that's enough to last for the ages. We got love and that's enough. A love story for the pages. We got love and that's enough. Some people they've been searching for 10 lifetimes, searching for the reason, no reasons for sunshine. Wise men keep reaching, pray to weathermen up in the sky. Big house on the hillside, cities of gold. I found a love so rare it seems to be alive. Careful not to scare this dream away, 'cause I have found what they've been searching for, what they've been praying for. I've made up my mind, I'm gonna make it mine. Nothing will stand between us. We got love and that's enough. No matter what the people say, all this fades away. Nothing will stand between us. We've got love and that's enough to last for the ages. We got love and that's enough. A love story for the pages. We got love and that's enough. Don't know where we're going, any place will do, as long as you have me and I have you. I found a love so rare it seemed to be alive. Careful not to scare this dream away, 'cause I have found what they've been searching for, what they've been praying for.
I see you, you see me. I'm as happy as a girl can be, oh, as a girl can be, oh. I see sun and feel the heat. Don't you know you make my world complete, oh, you make my world complete, oh. Nothing's changed at all. I still smile when you call.
Welcome back to the local results here on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Jess Brady. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight on this election night in Ontario. A cold and frosty and somewhat snowy, rainy evening. But we are here and we are following all of the latest information about the election as it rolls in. Not a lot of surprises tonight, I will say, but it has been very interesting to see things play out. Now, something that's playing out right now is a victory speech in Oxford, and we are going there now to see that victory speech from incumbent PC candidate Ernie Hardeman.
So Ernie, congratulations. How are you feeling tonight?
Oh, just elated. It's just a great experience, and the excitement doesn't diminish from the more times you do it. It's just this.
No, with the elections, the snap elections, how did that complicate things for your election?
The snow. Well, first of all, the cold is bitter, but you can put on a bigger coat and earmuffs. But when you want the snow and you have to keep the signs and so forth in the ditch, and the ditch has 3 foot of snow in, it's very hard getting in and out. Many times you have to crawl out on your hands and knees because you can't lift, and it's very difficult. And you get the signs up, and next thing there's a snowstorm, and then you can't see them anymore, and so you have to dig them out or put another one, but it's very more difficult. We also changed our tactics a bit. We had to use different stakes because of the frozen ground. We also used fewer signs and more other type of advertising. We always have one vehicle decorated to show the campaign vehicle. This year we had 2. Both the truck that delivered the signs and the vehicle I drove, my car. We had also my picture and name on it to make sure we were getting the word out that we weren't doing with our signs that we couldn't get up.
How do you think that your experience influenced the way voters were reacting?
Well, I think particularly in this election, I think if I was to critique the whole election and how it went, first of all, I have to say the people, when they went to vote today, knew the name. The number who knew the name Hardeman was much greater than all the others put together, as far as the people that knew who they were. And if you don't always know people, but if you don't know any of the names but one, that's a great advantage for that one. And people, I know I had one person tell me they were very supportive of term limits, so you could only run so many times because the term limit allows more people to have an opportunity, and the incumbent always has the advantage. This is a friend at Queen's Park, and I said, well, wait a minute. That's not, you're right, it's an advantage if you do a good job. If it's a bad job, being the incumbent is a disadvantage. And so I think the terms limit don't make sense to me. That's the most experienced person shouldn't be allowed to run again. And so that's what I stand for. I'm not saying how long, it should be a choice of the people. And I joked about my age a couple of times, but this is the only time I think of it. That's not the issue. It's, do I know how to solve the problems? Do I know who I have to talk to at Queen's Park to get something done? And the answer to both of those is yes. Somebody got elected. If they haven't been there before, it's going to take them a long time to get up to speed to get things done.
No, you mentioned needing a stronger mandate to deal with our neighbors in the south. Do you know what that consists of? Could you tell us a bit about that?
Well, I'm not sure what the final numbers were. I just came here and I was told that I had won, and so I haven't really looked at the numbers. But when we're dealing with our neighbors to the south, it could very well become very tedious, because when you start having battles over tariffs here and tariffs there, and it costs us a lot of money, people lose their jobs, the investment that the province is going to have to make could be immense. And the Premier decided that we didn't have a mandate to spend that kind of money to do that type of thing, to protect Ontario. And so that's what he put out in the window, and that's what the election was about, and the people said yes. I couldn't believe it when I'm at home waiting for some of the results to come in to see this start. They said it's 9 o'clock, the polls have closed, and the numbers started on the screen. And at 7 or 8 minutes after 9, they declared a government, a PC government win. And 3 minutes later, they declared it a majority government. And that's because the mandate we now have is a strong mandate to do what we said needed doing as far as dealing with the tariffs and making sure that we protect the jobs and the people of Ontario.
And what are the main issues that you're hearing from residents here in Oxford County?
Well, I think that's one of the main ones, because Oxford County depends. It's a very agriculture county. It's the dairy capital of Canada. We also have 2 automotive assembly plants in it, and we have all kinds of feeder plants for that. Most of our population that works in industry works in the auto industry, and tariffs would be a disaster on those jobs. So that really concerns them, and I think